Welcome to episode 219 of the Campus Comics Cast as we join with Superman and the Black Panther for some Klan smashing discussion. I'm Scott Reed, and I'm joined in this episode by
Mike Atchison.
All right, Mike. So I don't have anything. Actually, I take that back. I lied. I have a couple things I want to mention, and I'm sorry I didn't tell you this before we started recording. Just for people who are, this is actually some pre-order information. So we've been talking periodically in the pre-orders about this company called Philo, and I'm trying to find my email, and they actually were able to pick up like Billy Tucci's She, but they also recently, it's not Philbo, Philbo Publishing, but they recently just added Strangers in Paradise, so they are publishing all of Terry Moore's work, plus also some stuff from Zenescope. So now they don't have any of the big publishers, but they are getting a couple of titles and groups that are fairly well known. I mean, most people in comics know about She, and most people know about Strangers in Paradise and Rachel Rising. So that was kind of a surprise to me. I don't know if those titles will be available from Lunar or Penguin as well, but I keep calling them Philo Publishing, but it's Philbo Publishing has them now. So that was kind of a surprise to me.
Yeah, I wasn't even aware of all that, but I did think of something else that just I heard when I was doing an interview in San Francisco area for the roadshow. I found out something also sort of it's in the news, but it's more controversial, I guess you'd say. Okay. And it is and the reason I thought of it is, or the reason I was mentioning is because I read the first issue of The Red Hood, and I thought it was pretty good. And then I find out that it was canceled. I'm like, what the heck was it canceled for? And then I look it up, and it was because the author writes some whatever comments. I don't even know what it was. I haven't even got that far into it, but some comments about the shooting of Charlie Kirk. So, anyway, that's the only newsworthy thing that I'm aware of.
I just want to avoid politics, so I'm just gonna stay off of that discussion. Me too. It's only because they just can't, that it was canceled. It was just flat out canceled. Issue 2 and 3 had already been solicited. They were completely canceled, and comic shops were allowed the option of returning all of their copies of number 1, and I think surprisingly, about 50% of the comic shops returned them, and 50% kept them. I wonder what that tells you. And and now the value of that issue has also shot up a little bit because of the fact of the controversy. Now, it's not going to. The only thing that's going to keep that book's value is if it ends up being scarce. Because anything beyond scarcity, that's not going to last. So people were picking those up. You have that FOMO, fear of missing out. It's like, something crazy's happened. We better buy that book.
Yeah, and I mean, there's nothing content-wise that makes it special. It just so happens it coincides with whatever controversial thing that was said, and so just consider us the Walter Cronkites of comic reporting. We are just telling you the way it is.
Now, the other thing that I think might be worth mentioning is this. This is an email I got from Distillery, and you know how much I love Distillery. But they announced that all of their digital books are going to be moved to something called Neon Ichiban, NeonIchiban.com. So I don't know if this means they're not going to be available. Really, the only other digital place is the former Comixology, which is now Amazon Kindle. So I don't know if that means Distillery's books are not going to be available on Kindle or not. But what they basically say is, as part of this announcement, Neon Ichiban is your new home for digital comics and manga from Distillery and beyond. In addition to your Distillery library, You'll now be able to discover same day as print and backlist titles from publishers including Dark Horse, DC, Kodansha, Marvel, Oni Press, Vault Comics, with Dynamite, IDW, Mad Cave, and Titan to come.
Really?
So yeah, now I assume they're all going to be cover price. There's not going to be a discount. They don't say anything about a subscription service in this email. But for books that you're thinking about reading and you don't want to necessarily buy a physical copy, you might put neonichiban.com on your radar if you cannot find it. Obviously, if you got the Marvel and DC app, you shouldn't be buying those there. But if there's something you want to read immediately from Marvel and DC,
Yeah.
you don't have to wait a month for DC or
Yeah.
3 months for Marvel for it to show
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just thought those were a couple of interesting little tidbits that
Well,
came
that
through.
that in, that interests me in such a way that I hope it gives a little competition to Amazon Kindle.
Hmm.
As far and I hope maybe there is a little bit of competitive pricing or specials or something like that. I mean, the Kindles, there's usually some pretty good pricing there
Yeah.
too, but still,
And with
that
the
would be good.
Comixology subscription, which is what I'm still going to call it, a lot of stuff cycles in. You can just read for free. You're not having to pay for anything, and the books that are available just they come and go. So I usually don't have trouble finding anything to read. Now I may not be able to find exactly what I want to read. If I'm looking for some independent title, it may not be there, but
Yeah,
I can usually find something I haven't read before that I would enjoy to read. So
yeah, yeah. I so so Comixology slash Kindle.
hmm
It is it. Well, I don't know where I had a question in my mind, but I totally lost it in that process.
okay. Were you wondering about new books on Comixology, or were you wondering something
Yeah. Oh,
else?
I know what it was. See, uh, we have an Amazon. No, it isn't not Amazon Unlimited. It's Amazon Prime.
Prime, yeah.
Right. So if you're a Prime member, I think that carries over to give you some of that Comixology Unlimited, maybe.
I
Or
don't
no?
think so, but I don't know that
Okay.
for a fact because I have both Prime and Comixology, and if it is, I'm paying for both. And should I only be paying for one? Maybe. I
Maybe.
don't know.
Yeah.
So I
You know
don't
what?
think I don't think
No.
there's any overlap.
Now that I think about it, nope. I because I use my own Amazon account to get to Kindle slash Comixology, and if I need to order something physical from Amazon, I use my wife's. Yes, because she's got the Prime membership.
There
So,
you go.
yeah,
She's in
okay,
charge. She's in charge and
answered.
in charge. So
Yes,
all right.
right.
All right. Well, you ready to dig into Superman Smashes the Klan? Is that the right title? We had trouble with that. I know when we were
Yeah,
talking about this book.
I mean, going by memory, when we were trying to decide what to cover, it was
Hmm.
like we were coming up with all kinds of very similar but
Hmm.
alternative cover names.
I know it's like
But it,
Superman Versus was one of them,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
yeah, okay.
But it is Superman. It's not a colon in it. It's just Superman smashes the Klan. And I've got the physical copy that I bought somewhere along the way. It's in that compact style,
Hmm.
like graphic, young adult graphic novel style. I don't know if the original three issues were in that same size or not. I know it was in a different. It came out in three different parts as a limited series, but yeah. So Superman smashes the Klan.
Okay. Well, let's let you take the lead then, Mike.
Okay. So first of all, let me give the publishing details. It came out from DC Comics as a limited series, like I said, bi-monthly from October of 2019 until February of 2020, and it's collected now in this trade paperback collection that came out in May of 2020. The writer is Gene Luen Yang. And the artist is, I didn't know this, I thought Girihuru was a person, but it's apparently an illustration team. And the letter is Janice Chang, and the editor is Marie Javins, of course. Uh, and it basically is the story was inspired by this 1946 radio serial Clan of the Fiery Cross, which covered like 16 episodes, believe it or not.
Hmm.
Um, and it exposed the KKK's codes and rituals and kind of contributed to the decline. So anyway, I've been chomping at the bit to read this anyway, so I'm glad this is what we landed on. All right, so I'll start with the synopsis. In 1946, the Lee family, Chinese American immigrants, moved from Chinatown to the suburbs of Metropolis. Dr. Lee begins a new job at the Metropolis Health Department while his children, Tommy and Roberta, try to adjust to their new surroundings, feeling alienated and self conscious about their Chinese heritage. Tommy joins a local baseball team and befriends Jimmy Olsen, but Roberta struggles with fitting in. The family faces overt racism from neighbors and classmates, specifically from baseball teammate Chuck Riggs. Their presence provokes the Klan of the Fiery Cross, which is basically a white supremacist group that is an analog of the KKK, and it's led by the Grand Scorpion, Chuck Riggs' uncle, who targets the Lees with a cross burning. Superman intervenes, but he's distracted by strange visions triggered by a Nazi villain's green power source. These visions hint at his Kryptonian origins, which he's long suppressed to fit in as just Clark Kent. The local chapter of the Klan of the Fiery Cross targets the Lees, burning a cross on their lawn, as I said earlier, and in an attempt to firebomb their home. So that was for issue 1. We go on to issue 2. The Klan kidnapped.
Do you want to talk any about issue 1?
Yeah. I mean, my notes aren't necessarily delineated like it, but I can kind of like take an educated guess. So yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm gonna. So we have 6 issues that we're talking about today. Okay, 3 issues of Superman Smashes the Klan, and then Marvel Premiere 51, 52, and 53. Do you know how many times the actual phrase Ku Klux Klan is used in those 6 issues as part of the story?
I'm going to guess either 0 or maybe 1 or 2.
Okay. By my count, which may be inaccurate and I've missed something, I counted 1 time that they actually used the phrase Ku Klux Klan. All right. So now, to me, I'm wondering. There's kind of a joke, that it's always safe to pick on Nazis and the KKK.
Yeah, right.
It's like
True.
they can always be the bad guys and nobody's going to say anything. However, it's like how close. It's like this. All 6 of these issues. Like how close can we get to the KKK without actually using the phrase KKK or Ku Klux Klan? It's often the Klan or some society or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like I am convinced that DC, Marvel feared lawsuits.
Oh,
Now,
for sure.
The Superman Smashes the Klan is a much newer book. The Marvel Premiere were the 70s. Okay. So that was a surprise to me. I thought it was just flat out, this is anti-KKK, but it's not. It's what it's intended to be, but they just don't come out and say it directly.
Yeah.
Which was a big surprise to me.
Well, I know that this is my guess, and maybe it's somewhere in the back matter of this book because I know there's a 3 or 4 page
Yes.
afterword by Lang or by Yang.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that with this story being based on that radio serial, they were probably very keen on not using the KKK's real name back then because that would have, that was still in a time where courts may have leaned in the Klan's favor in that regard. So, and I think he's just being true to that radio serial, whereas the 1970s. They're not hiding because the KKK is not in the Superman story. No. It is in. There is no analog name for the organization. I mean, I don't want to spoil any details there, but they've got the little red cross on the hoods and stuff. So there's no wink and a nod. Okay, this is what this really is, but we're calling it something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, to my count, the actual Ku Klux Klan is mentioned one time in all six stories, which that was a surprise to me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and okay, since we're on the first issue, you kind of like jumped talking about the leads and then went back to talk about the fight at the beginning of the story with
Yeah.
the armored Nazi guy.
Yeah.
Um, is okay. Do I remember correctly that this is the first that serial was the first time that kryptonite was used in a Superman property? Is that was
Oh,
that
you know, it could be. I don't know. I didn't read that
okay?
anywhere. I
Okay.
mean,
There is something, and I listened to an interview with the writer, and there is something from that serial that was the first time that it ever occurred in a Superman comic, and I or maybe two things, and I couldn't remember if it was the kryptonite or if it was the first time he flew as opposed to just jumping or because you notice he runs on power lines and stuff at the beginning of the issue, but then I think at some point later in the series he actually flies. So maybe it's one or even both of those things. I don't know. So
well, I know for the two things I know for sure that started with the radio serial was the appearance of Jimmy Olsen and Perry White.
okay.
I want to say maybe there was the illusion of flying in the radio before it was in the books, but I don't know offhand. And I wouldn't be surprised to find out the Kryptonite also made some sort of a or some early version of Kryptonite made an appearance in the radio serial.
So let's see. Was officially introduced in the radio serial The Adventures of Superman in the story The Meteor from Krypton, broadcast in June 1943.
Oh, okay. So in the radios, but
Yeah. Okay, but
earlier.
not in
Yeah.
this story then. Okay.
Right.
All right. Okay. So it was just the radio show, not this particular radio show or what this is actually based off of. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Uh, yeah. I mean, I got a few notes and on this first arc or first chapter, and I think the first thing is that it took me quite a while to really understand why Superman was seeing himself as an alien. And not by alien appearance, I mean like the antenna, the
Mm-hmm.
green skin, the sort of stereotypical alien appearance, as well as his adoptive parents and his
Mm-hmm.
birth parents in the vision. So at first I'm like, is this an exposure? Is it a hallucination? And I think what I'm landing on, and correct me if you think differently, but it was meant to it was a psychological thing for him because it represented his feeling of being different.
I
So
I took it to be partly that, but also just from his exposure to kryptonite.
okay,
So maybe that is possibly the tool that Yang used. I'm sorry, is it not Yang? Is it Yang?
yeah, Gene
Okay,
Luen Yang, yeah,
I'm sorry.
Gene
Okay,
Yang, yeah,
used to like set it up where he could kind of emphasize his alienness
yeah,
by him that just having this kind of lingering effect on him. So,
right,
but I don't know. I actually read the story one time, so that's not something I was looked super deep into.
yeah,
But it was clearly just something he was experiencing, not something nobody else saw him that way or how he was seeing himself. So,
right, right. Uh, I'll, I'm gonna wrap up or give you a couple other notes, and then I'm gonna find my glasses while you talk because I can't
oh,
find my
okay.
glasses. so, um, so I mean, my first thought was this felt so much like the Shadow Hero. I don't know if you ever read that by Yang. It was a story about another Golden Age character called the Green Turtle, who was the first Asian character in comics. But it was all of these very real life moments and dealing a lot with racism. Uh, just was very much reminded me of the Shadow Hero, also by Yang. I thought it was so realistic, the back and forth between Roberta, or as she eventually became known as, her Chinese name was Lan Shin, and her brother Tommy. I mean, like typical siblings. I mean, it was just really well represented by Yang. Um, and then my last comment is that Racism, this really represents or shows how racism is a learned behavior, not something we're born with. So Chuck, starting out as quite the antagonist, he you can there are subplots or scenes within this first chapter that he's already conflicted and not understanding why his uncle Matt, who is the sort of the grand poobah of the clan of the Fiery Cross, is so hates Asians or black people or anyone other than a white American. And it's of course the kid's torn by his loyalty to his uncle who practically raised him. Uh, but anyway, I thought that was really well done.
So, just a couple more things to add to the first issue. For certain, the back matter that is done by Gene Luen Yang, he has like, I don't know, 4 or so page essay that he writes at the end of each of these episodes that mixes some of the history of the radio show with how he developed the comic, with some of his personal history, and a lot of things that were going on with the Ku Klux Klan throughout, from the 1800s all the way up into the modern area. So these this story is 100% worth picking up, if for no other reason to just read that back matter
Yeah.
that he writes. It is really, really, really good. And I'm a person who most time if I'm reading a comic book, I want to read a comic book. I don't want too many words. I want the right amount of words. but I did take the time to read this, and I, honest to goodness, feel like I should sit down and read it again because it is very, very well done, and it's engaging and entertaining, and again, it talks on like 4 different levels. Talking about the serial, talking about the KKK, talking about his personal journey, talking about Superman and the impact that it had. So it's really well done. It's 100% worth it just for that. Did the trade have all of the back matter that he wrote in it as well?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was from page like 228 to 240.
Okay, so they just put it
So
all at the
yeah,
very end of the trade.
yeah,
Then okay, yeah. So it's at the end of each individual issue. It's broken up into 3 parts. But yeah, it's outstanding. So definitely worth picking up for that. So
yes, totally agree.
all right.
Okay, so we'll go to part two. The Klan kidnaps Tommy, intensifying their campaign of terror and prompting Roberta and Superman to launch a rescue. Roberta, with her keen observational skills, begins to uncover clues about the attackers and helps uncover the Klan's hideout. Meanwhile, the Klan attacks the Daily Planet and threatens the local YMCA, revealing their broader campaign of hate. Which I say YMCA, but that's what that I forgot what the name of it was in the story.
Oh,
It's something like that. Um, Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, and Inspector Henderson work to protect the Lees and investigate the Klan's activities. Superman begins to unlock new powers like flight as he starts to accept his alien identity. Roberta's new journey mirrors his. She's torn between fitting in and embracing her heritage. Her father, Dr. Lee, fearing backlash, tries to distance his family from black allies like the inspector who have helped them, and which exposes the complexities of racial dynamics. Superman begins to confront his alien heritage, realizing that his powers stem from his Kryptonian origins. So that's the second part, issue 2, or however you want to put it.
I don't really think I have anything specific to issue two
Okay.
comment wise. Do you have anything?
I mean, I do, but again, I don't know if it falls straight in line with that issue because I didn't demark it that way. But I'll give it a whirl here because I did have quite a few comments. So again, this was so appealing to me because it's based on historical facts,
Hmm.
like which it talks about this in the back matter that we've talked about quite a bit. Is that this was the second iteration of the Klan, and it was focused on raising money. which I think that does actually in a third chapter. So I'm sorry about that, but
Yeah,
uh,
they talk about that a
yeah,
little bit more in the, I think it is the third issue. But
yeah,
keep going. Sorry.
yeah. I mean, it's just these were Henderson. I liked him because look, I mean, here he is. He's he's a black man in a white powered world in Metropolis, suburban Metropolis, and he was appointed or elected. I'm not sure how it worked there, but he was chief of police. So he had this power that you'll see towards the end of the story where that was challenged and saying, well, the only thing that gives him power or authority is the badge. But it was good that they put a black inspector, a black person in power, a minority person in power, or authority in that era. I don't know if that's in the radio serial at all, which I don't know if this is available online, but I am definitely going to look for it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if you had watched the radio show or listen. I guess it's watched. Listen to the listen to the radio show
I understood
before.
what you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I haven't. I haven't been like in front of a computer. I haven't been home in 2 weeks, so almost three. But I am going to maybe see if I can. Usually that stuff like is public domain by now,
Hmm.
and I would love to uh, dig in dig into those episodes. I think a lot of it you can find on YouTube. Different. I'm not saying this one, but I'm saying a lot of radio serials are online.
It looks like there are several on YouTube. Primarily something called the Nikola Tesla wireless radio stream.
Okay, there you go.
So there's at least four of four of them. I don't know. So starting 1939, the Shark audition. So I don't know.
Oh man.
I'll have to jump in there at some point and look. But it looks like
Well,
they're on YouTube at a minimum. So
if I'm nerdy enough to listen to those old power records,
yeah.
then I can listen to something online like this. Okay, so I know this is in the second chapter. The scene with Clark and Pete Ross in 1926, they were,
Hmm.
young guys, 10, 12 years old, whatever. They were reading those science fiction mags. I thought that was a nice nod, I think, to Schuster and Siegel's work.
Hmm.
Their early work was in those science fiction magazines. Um, and I just thought, anybody that's got kids, especially if Tommy being kidnapped by the Klansmen would be absolutely terrifying. And I thought Roberta was portrayed with such bravery in confronting Chuck because, she observed that he had to be there because she's seen the red boots that he,
Hmm.
ironically, he's a Superman fan, so he likes to wear red boots. But when
Even
he was
plays
there,
baseball in them.
yeah, when he was there trying to throw a firebomb into the window with his uncle, he was wearing boots under his robes, and Roberta's seen that. So yeah,
I think one of the changes that Yang made is I don't, if I'm correct, and I may not be correct, is that the original serial was not about Chinese immigrants. So that's something that he
oh,
modified, right, to just to match kind of his history.
hmm,
Um, I could be mistaken, but they're obviously, at that time or within a few years of that time period, you had the Chinese internment camps that were happening,
hmm,
with the getting ready to move into World War II, right? Okay.
Japanese.
That's
Did you?
right.
Yeah,
Was it
hmm,
Japanese or Chinese, or was it both?
it was Japanese. Well, because
Okay.
the Japanese attacked Pearl
Yeah, that's
Harbor,
right.
so
Okay.
that's
I,
where. I mean, there may have been some Chinese that were caught up in that, but yeah,
yeah. Okay.
yeah.
My mistake. Um, so yeah, Yang is not Japanese. He is Chinese.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
that was a rabbit that I shouldn't have chased.
Well, I mean, it's fair because there was. I mean, he even talks in the back matter a little bit about, when during World War II, it was so ironic. He's saying basically is that during World War II, we were allies with the Chinese
Hmm.
because they were adversaries of the Japanese.
Japanese.
So our entire racist
Yeah. Yeah.
portrayal of Chinese kind of switched over to the Japanese, and we treated the Chinese as our friends, but the Japanese were the new stereotyped
Hmm.
or demonized race.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's covered quite at length. It's really good, like you said, that back matter.
Yeah, it's worth reading 100%. So, I like the little serial, the movie serial that they watch, which is Captain Desmo versus
Oh yeah,
Genghis Akim, which is basically Flash Gordon and Ming the Merciless. But
yes, yes,
I
for
thought
sure.
that was kind of cool in there as well in issue two.
And he also looked just like, if you know Detective Comics from Detective Comics 1 has that infamous cover
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
of a very stereotyped Chinese person, and this is of
Mm-hmm.
course pre World War II.
Right. Yeah.
So the Chinese were also back then very stereotyped, and um, just so. Yep. I think what is, let's see. So the scene. Okay, you remember the scene where the Ma and Pa Kent are trying to explain Clark's developing powers. Where he comes home after he was angry at the bullies picking
Mm-hmm.
on Pete, and he kind of uncontrollably floats into the air and shoots down into the ground with his heat vision.
Mm-hmm.
And the Kents are trying to explain that, and I just thought that that scene has taken many forms and many over the decades. That might be the best I've ever seen. That the Clark's trying to tell a young man, or a pre-teenager, that why that's happening, and giving him encouragement to accept the differentness, and but not giving him everything,
Right.
because he's still a young man. So
Mm-hmm.
it was really well done. And I mean, okay, last comment on this chapter for me,
Okay.
because it really struck me. I mean, has there ever been a more Superman moment than him giving his cape to Roberto, like Mean Joe Green throwing his jersey to the kid on that Coke commercial?
You're dating yourself with that reference, Mike.
Yeah. I mean, that gave me goosebumps. I mean, that was so awesome, but it was such a Superman thing. And then her mom,
Makes it
her,
into a jacket. Yep.
yes, because that was sort of her comfort zone,
Mm-hmm.
or her, what do you call it? Like a
It's her security blanket.
security blanket. Yeah,
That was
yeah.
her Linus's security blanket.
Yeah, yeah. So she makes that cape into a jacket, and that's just, who wouldn't want
Yep.
that?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But yeah, that's all I had.
Yeah, I don't have anything else for two, so you can run on to
Okay.
three.
Okay, slide right back up here. So, okay, issue 3. Superman and Roberta team up to expose the Klan's leadership and thwart a major attack on, again, I keep saying the YMCA, but I didn't write down that little club. It's a
Okay.
community club for youth.
See if I got.
Roberta uncovers the identity. I'm sorry. Roberta uncovers the identity of the Klan's secret benefactor, revealing how racism is embedded in positions of power. And Superman fully embraces his alien identity, using his powers without fear. Roberta gains confidence and pride in her heritage, rejecting the need to assimilate for acceptance, and the Klan is defeated. The Lees find a stronger sense of belonging in Metropolis, and the story ends with a hopeful message about unity, courage, and identity. I know that was not real strong on actual things that happened,
Mm-hmm.
but that's what happens when you have an AI assistant. So
Oh, well,
I
that's
confess.
shame on
Yeah,
you.
not
So,
yeah. I did.
I, yeah, you didn't give me enough time to like try to find the name of the organization. I was flipping through
Oh
trying to
shoot.
find that for you. So yeah, so I didn't make it, but that's okay. So.
Yeah, it's a youth group, and yeah, it's. I normally these days I use an AI system, kind of get started, and then I kind of read and like
Hmm.
fill it in. But with me just getting home today, it didn't happen. Sorry, you guys can. I'll tell you what, we will, we won't charge a dime for this episode
There you go. All
because of that. Yeah,
right. Full refund on
full refund. Yeah.
um so I just one of the things that I did not know about historically, and it was talked about here in the third issue, was that whole business side to the KKK.
Yeah.
Um, and that was the second iteration of the Klan that basically, they were the only place that you could get official official like hoods. So every new person who joined had to order their hood directly from them. And apparently they had membership in the millions during the second
Oh, sure.
iteration.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure if they were around today, they would have a meme coin. Meme coin.
Don't give anybody any ideas, Mike. So now, okay, I did, you know, I guess I'm happy that I really don't know a whole lot about the KKK. Um,
Yeah.
I guess I should take that as a good thing. But, you know, of course, I had to read through some of this stuff because it's like, man, that I wonder if you made that up or if that was true. So it's like whenever I jumped on Wikipedia. So, okay, so you can, I don't know if that's worse or better than AI. Y'all leave that up to
Oh well,
anybody
it's
who's
just a
listening
matter
to
of
this.
yeah,
But,
yeah.
but the second iteration, of course, the Klan was founded in Tennessee, which is not too terribly far from where we are. You know,
Yeah.
I think it's about 4 or 5 hour drive to Pulaski, Tennessee, which is where it all started. That was the first iteration of the Klan. Apparently, the second iteration had a split at one point, and the guess where the headquarters for the splinter of the second KKK was actually at?
Oh, I don't know that.
Evansville, Indiana.
Oh my goodness, I wouldn't think it'd be that
No.
far north.
Yeah, so which is about
Wow.
an hour and 10 minute drive from my home. So, and I'm going to be there in November for a comic book show.
Wow.
So yeah, there and now it wasn't the like I said, it was the splint off, and of course that iteration eventually of the second series kind of died off, but then the third iteration came along, which is what is around now. But yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
Well, regardless of what the name might be, it's the racist supremacist
Mhm.
ideology that is really front and center here, and how that affected so many minority groups that were either immigrating into the U.S. or were already here.
Mhm.
Yep.
Well, are we gonna? You got anything else for this? Are we ready to grade
Uh,
it, or?
yeah, I mean, real quick, just my comments, my actually written down comments is that Lana Lang, I didn't expect to see her in this, but she did have a flashback appearance. Um, there was a scene in the flashbacks where Clark and Lana and some of their teenage friends were at a circus and there were acrobats,
Mhm.
and I almost have to imagine that those were the Flying Graysons. What do you
Grayson's.
think? Yeah.
I was more focused on Samson
Oh, right.
because of knowing the origin of Superman. You
Yep.
know, that was more directly. But you're probably were they wearing green and
Oh
orange and
gosh.
black? You know,
I
I
don't
guess would be
remember.
the
I don't remember, but I know it was a man, a woman, and their son.
yeah.
So
So
yeah,
let's. I don't. That was in, you said it was in the third issue, right?
yeah, it was in the third
Okay.
chapter,
Okay.
and
I'm
I'll
flipping
flip and
through
look.
right now and see if I can find that. So, not
Yeah,
really
well,
matches. I mean, that's kind of a greenish, but yeah, not exact. I would expect it to have been a little bit more blatant if it were, but
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's true. I never thought about the color scheme, but
yeah,
just seeing it in
it
my
got
book, it's red and green. So
yeah, it's just a different green. But yeah,
yeah,
you're right. I mean, there's the father, mother, and the son.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yep.
So maybe it
So
is.
in my head canon, that's what's going on
There you
there.
go.
um, I like the reveal that the Klan, the head guy, the Klan Grand Imperial Mogul, was the seemingly friendly Dr. Wilson. Earlier in the book, he was seemed like the good guy
Yep.
of the scientists that Dr. Lee was working with, and I just felt like Roberta, or as she was eventually, she accepted and used her original name, her Chinese heritage name, Lan Xin Li, that this character is just fantastic. It was, I mean, she's the one that really points out to Superman that he's actually flying when he softens his landings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like breaks that psychological block, that mental block he has. And it was just so many heartwarming moments, like Lois giving Roberta the pen because Roberta was really acting like a journalist, like a cub reporter, finding out these things, and it's no wonder this thing got an Eisner.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no wonder at all.
Yeah, and you were actually talking about the doctor at the end. He's like, "Yeah, we're in this to sell the swords. We're not in this to."
Yeah, yeah, it was so transactional.
Yeah,
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't about ideology. Yeah, although the uncle, the local chapter leader, he was in it for
yeah,
that, for
he was
his
in it for
racism.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I, whenever I was reading these, the one thing that I remembered, and I didn't actually read most of the GI Joe comics, but apparently, like at some point in the series, it's revealed that Cobra is actually just a pyramid scheme. And
Oh
that is
yeah,
what
yeah.
made me. That's what it reminded me of, was this whole, we just want to sell swords, we just want to sell, hoods. It's just like Cobra Commander. We're just in it for the money. you know.
That's pretty wild there.
Well, you got a grade for this?
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be high.
Yeah.
I think that I read this twice. I read it like I tried to, just straight through without really giving a whole lot of
Hmm.
conscious thought and analyzing. And on my second read, I was realizing just how good it was,
Hmm.
and I'm giving it a 9.0, a very fine near mint. I mean, I know that the art is. I mean, this is really packaged as a kid's book,
Hmm.
but man, it can hit. It is
Yeah.
great for adults. It's great for anyone that wants to read it. It sends a great message. It's got historical.
Hmm.
It's it's hard to find any fault in it. It's got relevance and the character development again, like Roberta or Lan Shin. I just can't really find any faults, and I could probably go higher, but to be honest, I try not to get too much higher than 9 or 9.2, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be a 9 for me.
Yeah. I hadn't really thought about where I was going to grade this whenever I asked you,
Hmm.
if you wanted to grade it or not. I know it has to be better than a very fine.
Yeah,
So it has to be up there in that upper echelon of where I grade books. I kind of had that 8.0 is kind of like, these are the things anybody should read and everybody should
sure.
read, and this is absolutely in that category. I think I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna give it an 8.5, which is a very
Okay.
fine plus, but with the back material, I'm going to bump it up to exactly where you're at, which is
All right.
9.0. So the extra material and the extra work that went into this is going to pull it up just a little
Hmm.
bit for me. So I'm also going to be there, that very fine, or that near mint, very fine near mint 9.0 as well. So I'm just right there with you on that grade. So
Nice, and I think that's. I hope people that hear this actually do pick it up and read it
yeah.
or find it online, because you really won't be disappointed. The art's of course more geared towards it's I don't want to say manga. It's not that. It's just very it's kind of a cartoony style, but
Hmm.
it's very well done, and
Yeah.
the storytelling's good, and yeah, it's I tell you, it's better than so much other stuff that we get these days. So yeah,
And I'd forgotten
yeah.
how old this story was, because we had talked about this, I think, when Dan was still on in the
Hmm.
previews,
Yeah.
is whenever this came out. So
Yep.
it's taking us that long to read it. So
That's probably when I ordered it, when that long ago, because I've had it a while.
and of course now I realize the bad thing, since I gave it higher than 8.0, that means I don't have a physical copy of it, so I got to go buy
Up.
something. So
You
yeah,
you
I've just cost
you have
myself some money. So
hold true to your
that's right.
own
So
principles.
I'm going to go pick that up. So all right.
Yeah. All right.
Well, you ready to talk a little bit about Marvel Premiere?
Yeah. Yeah. I am. Yeah.
Okay. So, as just to tie in to the anti-Klan episode, we thought we'd throw in a couple of, I actually thought it was two issues, which was 52 and 53 of Marvel Premiere. It's a Black Panther story. And a couple of the covers are, I, I can't remember if CLZ has them as controversial or what exactly, but because one issue, one cover has a Confederate flag on it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's 52, and then 53 has basically the Black Panther being lynched. So
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of those controversial, but obviously there are tie-ins to the Klan. So I thought, okay, well, we've got Superman Smashes the Klan. Let's see what Marvel does with the Klan. Now,
Yep.
reading the first issue of that, Marvel Premiere 51, makes me realize that we probably should have went back and read Jungle Action 1920 and 21. However,
We didn't know that
we
when we
didn't know that at
picked.
the
No.
time, and I was just going off of my memory about these stories, but we lucked out a little bit because most of issue 51 is a recap of what happens in
Exactly.
Jungle
Yeah.
Action 1920 and 21. So I guess we sort of got it all without having to go back and read that, because if we had read 1920 and 21, well, there's stuff in Jungle Action issue 24 that also applied. So it kind of was this spread out story that
Mm.
continued. So I think we got the highlights from the important highlights that are relevant to this story. So maybe the second answer is, well, we didn't need to because we had the footnotes that told us everything that we needed to know, right?
Yeah, this was really an expansion on that
hmm
jungle action. It was pretty long. I mean, it was like, I want to say from 19 all the way up to 23 or 24,
Yeah, I know
off
it
and
was
on. Yeah.
24 was specifically mentioned in some of the footnotes here in Marvel Premiere. And this was something that was being done with the Black Panther early on, and I think it was Don McGregor who was writing a lot of stories, and it's some people consider it like the first like limited series, just because of, and I'm trying to remember if it was in Jungle Action or if it was in a different title that was happening, where he was, basically it was continue the story, just issue for an extended period of time, and
Yeah.
then it even ended up going into, I think, a 4 issue mini series called Black Panthers Prey or something like that. I can't remember the exact title, but it kind of continued that. So, but here we have issues 51 to 53 of Marvel Premiere, written by Ed Hannigan and penciled by Jerry Bingham. Now, there are different cover artists on all 3 issues. So, issue 51 has cover art by Al Milgrom and Klaus Janson. So, and this is nice image of Black Panther kind of overlooking New York City.
Yeah.
So here is my non-AI written synopsis for
I have to tip the hat to you. Yeah.
for issue 51. So all right, so T'Challa returns to the Wakandan embassy in New York and is immediately attacked by Wind Eagle. Wind Eagle implies the two have fought before, but T'Challa seems to have no memory of it. During the battle, Wind Eagle mentions a reverend who may have instructed Wind Eagle to attack T'Challa. However, T'Challa is able to quickly defeat Wind Eagle. Upon entering the embassy, he is greeted by 2 guests, Monica Lynn and Kevin Trueblood. T'Challa has no memory of the two, but agrees to speak with them. Monica Lynn asks T'Challa to assist her in discovering the person responsible for her sister Angela's murder. And this is where we get the lengthy retelling of the events from Jungle Action 1920 and 21. So Monica recounts previous events about how she was visiting her sister's grave when she was attacked by the soldiers of the Dragon Circle. Black Panther had fought off the cult members, but the local sheriff, Roderick Tate, was unable to make any of the charges stick against the cultists. Sheriff Tate was also the investigating officer for Monica Lynn's sister's death and ruled the cause of death a suicide, despite evidence pointing towards murder. Later, Monica Lynn and Kevin were attacked by members of the Klan because of Kevin's story, so Kevin was a newspaper journalist, about shady real estate dealings involving the Klan. Black Panther intervened, and during the battle, the Dragon Circle also appeared, but the Black Panther defeated both groups. Later, the Dragon Circle attacks again, this time posing as Klansmen. They defeated the Black Panther, but T'Challa was able to escape. Later, T'Challa confronted some landowners. This is kind of more directly ties. So the landowners are directly associated with the Klan, not the Dragon Circle. Confronted some landowners when the Wind Eagle attacked, and defeated him with the help of the Dragon Circle. But once again, the Black Panther was able to escape. During the recounting of the past events, pieces of T'Challa's memory return to him, but then Wendigo escapes and attacks T'Challa once again. T'Challa battles Wendigo, and as Wendigo attempts to escape, he is killed by a hidden assassin. All right, so there's issue 51. So, Mike, I'm going to give you first run at comments here on 51.
First, I'll say that the cover was impressive by Milgram and Jansen.
Mm-hmm.
I know Milgram had just probably came over from DC at this point because this is post DC implosion, and he was a co-creator of Firestorm, and he did a lot of work with DC in the mid '70s. But I know that he was when they were making editorial or personnel cuts. He's one of them that went to Marvel. Jansen, it had to be somewhat of his
Mm-hmm.
some of his earliest work. But I like the cover.
Yeah.
And Jerry Bingham is another one. I think he had to be pretty young here. I've always considered him someone that had developed at some point a Neil Adams style in realism, but he hadn't really developed that yet. You can see it a little bit here and there, but it's somewhat over. I think his penciling's overshadowed by the inker, who I don't really know Gene Day. I don't know any of his work necessarily, uh, but yeah,
I recognize the name.
yeah. I Ed Hannigan as the writer was uh, I know Ed Hannigan more from he was more of a cover designer and did some artist, but I didn't even know he did any writing. So this I thought the the story and the dialogue here was very late Bronze Age type. There were some interesting things, but it wasn't real refined, and they're just stuff that reminded me of like okay, so the when T'Challa's he's being bathed by the two handmaidens or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I thought, is that not like Eddie Murphy in Coming to America? I thought that's exactly the scene that came to mind, and I liked how right away that this is where T'Challa is like a global figure. He's in the U.S. He's trying to get set up with his diplomatic or his ambassador
Mm-hmm.
group or whatever. I thought that was fairly interesting. So yeah, let's see here. I mean, Monica Lynn. I was going to ask you, do you have any jungle action books at all in
I
your own
have
personal?
had them. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if I actually have any in my collection right now. The only one that I would for sure have kept if it had made it through was the first appearance of Killmonger, and I don't. I think all the copies that have come through for me have been pretty low grade, so I haven't wanted to hold on to them. But
Yeah.
I've read a fair amount of Black Panther and
Mm-hmm.
Jungle Action. Let's see. I'm just checking. I'm checking CLZ right now, and I do not have any Jungle Action in my collection. So
Okay. Yeah, I thought that'd be interesting to go back and see what these original stories looked like. I'll probably look on the app and see if it's there. Yeah.
the early Jungle Action stories, I don't remember them as being great. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they're serviceable but not outstanding, which is why you know, I don't have any. Like I say, the only reason I would keep the one I'm trying to remember if it was issue 4 or something like that because the first appearance of the Killmonger would
Yeah.
be the only one that I would actively want to seek out and have in the collection. So
Sure. I did notice on page 10 the clock being stopped by the bullet. I thought, is there anything more? That might be the tropiest thing in this
hmm
trilogy here. But yeah,
well, in the writer's defense there. That's also one of the reasons why Monica Lynn thinks that it's not a suicide because how would a
right.
bullet have gone through the clock and killed her if she
Yeah,
was shooting herself?
right.
So that really that made okay. So honestly, that made me think in the first issue that the sheriff is part of the Klan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
he's
Mm-hmm.
covering for Klan members. Turns out spoilers for later in the series, that's not the case.
Hmm.
But so he's just apparently just a terrible sheriff.
Yeah, and our Ed Hannigan is just not the greatest of writers, and I've liked his. I've actually did I meet him at Heroes Con? Or maybe it was Al Milgrom. I know I met Al Milgrom. Maybe he had a Hannigan as well. But anyway, I've always liked his cover design, at least in DC stuff that I remember seeing. But I don't know that the writing is perfect. I mean, there was an actual dialogue piece that I know he's trying to make. He's trying to represent the Panther as being regal,
Hmm.
but on that early page where Panther's talking to the Union guys trying to carry in the furniture, he says, "See here," in his most. It sounds like a British,
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like what an African royalty would sound like.
No.
But anyway, and the last thing I have is that I don't know if this is in continuity, but the Falcon's flying tech was
Hmm.
Wakandan.
Yes, 100%. That part I could have told you. Yeah.
Okay.
So because originally the Falcon could wasn't his only power was the ability to communicate with birds. He was let's fought on the street. So
So
he was
he
called
and
the Falcon because he could talk to birds.
he and Hot Girl could get along well, screeching and talking to
Well, he
birds.
didn't talk like that. He communicated telepathically with the birds. He didn't screech like a falcon.
Okay.
He was able to telepathically
Okay.
communicate with them.
Gotcha.
As you were talking about Hannigan's writing, you know who it kind of reminds me of is Paul Cooperberg.
Oh
Cooperberg.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
because when we read Vigilante, he had to come in after other writers,
Sure.
and I thought he did a pretty good job of taking what was before and expanding and wrapping up storylines and pulling
Yeah.
things together. And that's really how I feel about this story. You have all these kind of loose ends that came out of Jungle Action
Hmm.
and the stories that were before, and he's having to tie all those up, plus tell a new story. So I thought it was a pretty serviceable. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
not
I mean,
something I'm gonna recommend for everybody, but it's not
yeah.
terrible either.
It's of its time, and you
Hmm.
always have to sort of like put your lens on of its time lens, and I mean, when we did Vigilante, I felt like, oh, at the time it was pretty. There was some groundbreaking stuff in it, but really, when you look at it from 30 years later, it's you're like, ooh, I don't know.
Hmm.
And but this, yeah, no, it's serviceable is really good word for this.
Now, one thing I want to point out from the storytelling is you have, and this is, so you have the soldiers of the Dragon Circle, which you would think, okay, this is supposed to represent the Klan, but in fact it doesn't directly represent the Klan
Hmm.
because if you look closely when they're recounting some of the stories, members of that society also include people who are black.
Yes.
So it's different there. But I feel like over the course of the next couple issues, what it ends up being is it's kind of an offshoot of the Klan, and so it's kind of like that. When we were talking about Superman Smashes the Klan, that second iteration where there was that split.
Hmm.
So it's almost like you have the Dragon Circle splitting from the main version of the Klan, and they don't like each other now. So they have different takes on what they should be doing. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, that's a lot of the plot. Is I mean, it kind of leads to that anyway. That this is well, I'm kind of spoiling things, so I'll just shut up. So
now it's there as Monica Lynn is being introduced, quote unquote, to T'Challa. It's clear that there's something going on in the story where there's some memory loss that T'Challa has had, and this goes back to those jungle action
hmm.
stories. So after this previous conflict with the Klan and the Dragon Soldiers or Dragon Circle, some of those events caused him to lose his memory, at least pieces of his memory. And as they're working through, and as some of these stories are being recounted to T'Challa, pieces of his memory are returning. So,
Right.
So it kind of, again, since we didn't read Jungle Action 19 through 21 and the later issues of Jungle Action, we kind of missed that. But Monica Lynn, I'm not for sure where it's at in the timeline, but Monica Lynn and T'Challa at one point were engaged, and I don't know. You almost think it has to be after this, but I feel like it might have actually been before. So he had even
Yeah.
forgotten her so much that the fact that they were engaged. So
Yeah, they made a big point about her knowing him, but he not
not
knowing
knowing
her
her.
when her and her new boyfriend or fiance or whatever
Yep.
tracking. He's the reporter.
Yes, Kevin
Track.
Trueblood. Yep.
Yeah, tracking him down to talk about the issues here. So yeah, they made a real point to that. But again, you make a very excellent point about this being very Kupperberg-like,
Mm-hmm.
sort of picking up threads and trying to tie it all together into a three-issue story.
All right, so issue 52. This is subtitled "At Last, T'Challa Battles the Klan." So we finally have the word "Klan" here, on the cover.
Yeah,
Covered by Bob Budiansky and Steve Leahalo. I probably
Lay Aloha. Yeah,
Lealoha. Okay, all
Lay
right.
Aloha. Yeah.
So, is he Hawaiian with the last name that includes
It
Aloha? It seems like it.
seems like it, yeah, but I don't know for sure. I know he. I remember his work from Fables.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so this obviously this has a Confederate flag on the cover. This also has now Klansmen. I mean, so the drawing on the covers is clearly Klansmen because it's the all white robes with the all white hoods. Okay. However, that's not what we see on the inside
Right.
of the book. But you do have the Confederate flag and all that. So this is one of those that gets that controversial cover tag because it has the Klan and it has the Confederate flag on it. So, all right. So in the city morgue, we get a history of the now deceased Wind Eagle. He was a minor criminal who was indoctrinated by a group called the Spiritual Light Society, which was directly affiliated with the Dragon Circle. We also learned that the gunshot is not what killed Wind Eagle, which, by the way, I think is a thread that they don't really come back to
No.
in this story. Upon leaving the morgue, T'Challa is followed, and a car chase and gun battle ensue. As the Black Panther and crew near victory, once again, a sniper shoots one of the attackers. The only clue left behind is a card bearing the symbol of the Klan. That evening, T'Challa trails some of his former attackers who were released to a local Klan meeting. The Klan leader speaks of traitors within, including the Dragon Circle and the Reverend Addison. So that's the first time we got the last name of this Reverend that's been mentioned, at least that I'm aware of, through the course of the story. Into the meeting busts a horseman called the Soul Stranger, who calls on the Klan members to lead them into sacred battle. Soul Strangler attacks the hidden Black Panther and the two fight. Just as T'Challa is about to win the battle, the Soul Strangler, I keep wanting to say stranger, so I'm having to emphasize strangler.
Both can work.
Yeah. Well, with the lynching cover that comes up on 53, Strangler might be, yeah.
Yeah.
The Soul Strangler escapes in a cloud of smoke. The next day, T'Challa takes Monica Lynn and Kevin to Georgia as he thinks he has found the answer to Angela's murder. All right, so what do you got for issue 52 you want to talk about, Mike?
First of all, it's kind of a holdover from the 51, the sniper issue,
Right.
and I did have that note that they never followed up on that little thread, but the whole idea, it's kind of repeated later on. I think it's in the third issue, but the whole idea that they want to quiet Wind Eagle, or punish him for not succeeding or for failing seems kind of ironic. Why wouldn't they just use the sniper to shoot Black Panther anyway? I mean, it just seems a very strained plot point. But I mean, and then I mean, I'm picking things apart here. But one of them
Well,
was this.
you could
Yeah.
almost justify that as the sniper was part of the Klan, and Wind Eagle was part of the Dragon Circle.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. It does get a little muddy there when you have these two factions that you think are the same faction, but in actuality they're two factions against each other.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not real. It gets a little choppy through this issue. the lack of evidence. Whenever they had to let the Klansmen go
Hmm.
after that big car chase because there was no evidence. I'm like, what do you mean there's no
There's no evidence.
evidence?
Yeah.
You had witnesses galore. You
Yeah.
had, I mean, you really?
Yeah.
But again, maybe I'm just looking too hard at it.
Hey, for once, the
Yeah.
Black Panther is grateful for this country's legal system. The men who attacked me were set free due to lack
Yes.
of evidence, enabling
Yeah.
me to track them to their fellows, the Klan, as I
Yeah.
suspected.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm still sort of confused as to who this Soul Strangler is supposed to be at this point, but I'm sure we'll talk about it more in the
Yeah.
next issue.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
apparently, the Soul Strangler was also in Jungle Action. So that
Okay.
was actually issue 22 of Jungle Action.
Hmm.
So, but we do kind of maybe get some answers to who the Soul Strangler is in issue
Yeah,
53.
maybe that ties better into those old Jungle Actions than it does in this story
Hmm.
because I was sort of not sure.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and it's about bringing closing some threads, I guess, again for
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
um. Now, the one thing that bothers me the most is okay. So you have the soldiers of the Dragon Circle. So sometimes they're called the Dragon Circle. Sometimes they're called the Dragon Cult. Sometimes they're called the Dragon Soldiers. There's a little bit of
Yeah.
inconsistency
Yeah.
in how they are described, which started to get on my nerves a little bit. But yeah, so when you're reading Dragon Cult, Dragon Soldiers, Dragon Circle, that's the one side, the splinter group off of the clan.
Yeah, I feel like Jim Salicrup, being the editor of the individual issues, could have done a little bit better job of
Hmm.
ensuring there was some things tidied up because it's definitely not just on Ed Hannigan.
Yeah, no, no. So yeah, I don't really have anything else for
Okay.
52. Do you got anything else you want to mention in 52?
No, I really don't.
Okay. All right. So 53. We also get the next controversial cover because this is the one where you have the Soul Strangler, who is basically lynching Black Panther here on the cover. This cover is by Frank Miller and Joe Rubenstein. So, all right. So the issue begins with the police having captured the sniper responsible for the death of Wendigo and possibly Angela Lynn, Monica Lynn's sister. In Georgia, the crew arrive at Monica Lynn's home and then head off to see Sheriff Tate. The owner of the assassin's gun has been in jail for a year, and he is a member of the Dragon Circle. Meanwhile, members of the Klan feel they must eliminate the Dragon Circle as it is cutting into their business. So that's that group that are meeting at the country club.
Yeah.
The white guys behind the Klan. At a Dragon Circle meeting, the Reverend calls for violence against the Klan and the Black Panther. One of the members of the Dragon Circle reveals themselves to be Monica Lynn's father, who leaves because he disagrees with what is happening. He's just now figuring that out. The Black Panther saves the father from two Dragon Circle attackers and then rushes to the meeting where the Klan are holding the Circle members at gunpoint. The Klan takes the Reverend into the swamps to finish him off, with Black Panther following them. A fog engulfs the boats, and they end up on the shore of a plantation, apparently in the past, with slaves. The Soul Strangler appears to kill the Reverend, but attempts to kill the Reverend. Appears to attempt to kill the Reverend. Let me rephrase that. But Black Panther intervenes. After being nearly lynched by the Soul Strangler, the Black Panther defeats him, and the Soul Strangler and plantation slaves disappear, leaving only the Reverend and some Klan members. Sheriff Tate arrests the Reverend and the Klan members, and Kevin Trueblood publishes the story to get all the facts out into the open. All right, Mike, you go first.
Okay. I won't have a whole lot, but I mean, the whole Mirage or going back in time really was it that was a direction I didn't see it going. It actually in and of itself was probably more interesting than a lot of the story, just the idea, but it just something tells me that this must have been something that happened in Jungle Action stories because again the Soul Strangler appeared here,
Mhm.
and I'm assuming maybe that's a villain that came, that maybe was some who appeared in these mirages or time traveling deals. I don't know,
You want to hear
but
my thoughts on the Soul
I
Strangler?
I would love to.
Okay, so what I think the Soul Strangler might actually be is just a figment of the Black Panther's imagination based on whatever happened to him that caused him to lose his memory back in the Jungle Action stories.
Mm.
Because he's hiding, like in issue 52, he's hiding from the Klan. Nobody sees him. The Soul Strangler comes in, and then all of a sudden, boom, he attacks him. So it's like as if he knew he was there already.
Okay.
So I feel like this is the Soul Strangler is just a figment of T'Challa's imagination, and that's why he's able to just vanish because he's never actually there. So whatever T'Challa is fighting, it's just a representation, really just a battle that maybe is going on in his own mind.
Yeah.
But that's
That
my
could be.
limited
I
take.
mean, that's. I honestly thought he was. I forget the name, but I thought he was the boyfriend of the deceased Angela Lynn.
Oh, okay. I don't
Uh,
I don't
because
know where that came from. So where did you get that idea from?
well, I mean, his skin looks dark. Now I know this is the coloring is limited.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when you look at his arm, it's not like brown like some of
It's
the,
like
but
gray.
it's kind of grayish. And
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. I kind of wondered. It's not like the Caucasian people in the
Mm-mm.
story, but it's not also like the black people in the
Mm-mm.
story. So I don't know. That's trust me. There was no scientific process in me wondering who that was, but he was another. I mean, he was sort of like the red herring, and I think there was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
belief that maybe, you know, that he killed his girlfriend, and
Ah,
he
okay.
was a criminal. And anyway,
Okay.
enough said. Yep.
Well, I think that they hinted that the sniper is the one who actually killed Angela, which
Right.
was the sister. So, but
Right.
the sniper was in being held. So at that time, so this couldn't be the sniper because he was in
Yeah,
jail. He was in custody.
that's true. Yep.
So, what else you got for 5053?
I mean, that's it.
Oh,
That's just again, it makes me almost wish, even if those stories aren't that great, I think I would have wished to have read the Jungle Action stories that preceded this, and it might make things a little bit clearer.
okay. So whenever the Klan show up and they capture the Reverend,
Hmm.
okay. So the Reverend is standing there. A Klansman has a gun pointed at his head, and the Klansman. Okay. So obviously there are certain words that they are not allowed to use, even in the late 70s, right? Okay.
Yes.
So instead of using the N word, they have him say, "Forget it, you Nigra loving carpetbagger." So it's like
I
Nigra,
know.
yeah. And it was just like, okay. Now what's funny to me is Marvel did not really have a policy against the use of the word because over in X-Men, Chris Claremont was having, and this happened at least for sure once, and I want to say it happened a couple of times,
Hmm.
where, okay, so in X-Men, people who didn't like mutants referred to mutants as muties.
Hmm.
So Chris Claremont in his stories would use other derogatory terms when he was trying to explain how toxic or bad the term mutie was to mutants, and he would use, and there are some stories where he uses the N word
Hmm.
for that purpose with Kitty Pride, a little Jewish girl, dropping the N
I
word to talk about how bad mutie is. So I just it was just kind of odd to me the way that they kind of handled that. Um,
yeah. Was that? I seem to remember that being used in God Loves Man Kills.
Mutie was for sure because that's the
I,
opening scene where
yeah.
the two children are dead and they've been attached to the playground equipment and they have painted Mutie. I don't. I could look it up and find it because that's like in Key Collector. You know, again, it's one of those categories that they have. Um, So if you want to give me a minute, I can find it. If you got something else you
I
want to talk
mean,
about.
yeah, I mean, I mean, it is interesting these slurs,
hmm
how they're, yeah, I just looked up God love man kills. God loves man kills is an example of where Claremont was trying to tackle social issues head on, including the racism and xenophobia and religious intolerance, and used that story, which may have been like outside of code authority or code.
Well, since it was
So
magazine size,
yeah,
it would have been, but
yes,
I think it was also used in the regular X titles as well.
okay.
So, but I'd have to search and find it here.
I don't know which ones. I just typed in that particular comic because I've read that in the last year, and it seems that I remembered being a bit surprised, even for a whatever you want to call it, mature audience or non-code approved comic, because it's magazine sized or graphic novel size.
So one that I found is in New Mutants 45.
Oh
It has
wow.
a note here that says Kitty Pryde, speaking at a memorial service, uses multiple offensive words related to ethnicity and sexual orientation.
Hmm.
So that's one of those. X-Men 196, controversial issue. In an effort to make a point about the offensiveness of the word mutie, Kitty Pryde uses an extremely offensive racial slur, uncensored.
Mm-hmm.
There's at least two. so
So unfortunately, they were having to use that old and very well known term
mhm.
to make the reader or make people kind of
To try to
understand just how muty feels to a mutant.
mutant,
I
right?
see.
So
Yeah.
that was the
Mm-hmm.
argument behind it and why they
Huh.
used that. So it was just weird that they felt like they couldn't use
Yeah.
it here, but they were using it in other spots.
True. True. Either way, it's ugly no matter what. No matter
Yeah,
how
yeah,
it's explained or in what context. In 2025, it's all not. It's one of the least. It's probably the least favorite parts of those stories to me.
right. Okay, so this issue is the one issue of the six that we've talked about where the actual term Ku Klux Klan is used. All right, so
Hmm.
it's actually on page 2, and it's a reporter outside the Wakandan embassy asking some of the people inside the embassy, not Black Panther, is it true that the Panther attacked a meeting of the Ku Klux Klan? Question mark. All right, and to my knowledge, that's the only place that it's used. Now, if you go back one page to the newspaper, so the Daily Bugle is running an article, and they have a picture of the Black Panther. And here's the thing, underneath the picture, it says ex Avenger, the Black Panther, involved in raid on Clue, KLU, Klux Klan meeting on Wednesday night. Now,
You see that in it's one of the headlines or
no, it's underneath the picture of the Black Panther. So this like the caption for the
oh I see
photo.
it. Yeah, I see that. Oh,
So they,
that's that's a common mispronunciation.
well,
Yeah.
I always thought, even if you would have asked me a week ago, I actually
Yeah.
thought it was Clue, KLU, Klux Klan. I don't
Yeah.
know if that came from. It might have come from this comic book. That might have been what
Oh,
I saw or read. I don't know where and why, but I always thought it was Clue, KLU, Klux Klan,
yeah.
not KU, Ku Klux Klan.
Well,
So
I'm sure I've said it that way as well in the past, and I believe that the letter and you and I and many other people have because it's just the way those letters. It's a sort of a tongue twister, and
mhm,
it's not. I don't think. Yeah. So I bet you the letter did the same thing as you have done all these, and it
yeah,
was ironic is that led to you for
maybe
decades.
I
Yeah.
can't say that is why, but I just yeah. And again, so you can argue that Ku Klux Klan is used twice, just misspelled once. But
Yeah.
I almost think maybe they did it that way just to avoid. Well, we're not talking about you. We're talking about something else.
Oh, I
And
see. Yeah.
and I think they felt like on the second page they could get away with it because it could just be like, oh, the reporter was just misinformed, and this isn't
Oh, I see.
saying anything
Yeah.
bad happened. We're not
Yeah.
saying anything negative. We're saying, oh, they attacked a meeting of yours, and it's like, so again, it's kind of like going back to does this organization have, or at this time had the political power? Could Marvel have been sued for like libel?
Yeah.
Based if they had used the actual name. So I guess that's maybe why you really only can talk bad about Nazis, and, and maybe the KKK is
Yeah.
not actually fair game. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's. I think we're probably overthinking that, and I think it was just slips of the pen, and no one's.
well,
I think in
I don't think it slips of the
1979.
pen because I think it's deliberate. I think they had deliberately avoid using KKK. That's why it's just the
Oh,
Klan.
okay,
I
okay,
think they
maybe
were
I guess
so.
so. Yeah, I guess it
Yeah.
could be. Yeah, and maybe they forgot, but again, even the images
Hmm.
of the characters that are supposed to be KKK,
Hmm.
they've got the white hooded robes,
Hmm.
all that, and the red cross on the front.
But it's
There
not
is
just a
no.
red cross. It's like a circle.
No, that's the other. That's the Society of the Dragon, whatever,
No,
isn't it?
no. The
No.
Society of the Dragons are the ones that are in the blue robes with the
Oh my
purple
gosh.
hats. So that's the Society of the Dragon Circle. The Klan is in the
Okay.
white with the red circle with like the plus sign. So it's like an almost like, well, not. Yeah. So they're not.
Okay.
They're trying to be as adjacent
Yeah.
to the KKK without actually being the
But then a
KKK.
couple times they stepped right in it.
So once, well, and I think they were very deliberate because they could say, well, that
Yeah.
we're not saying that. We're just saying this
Yeah.
reporter was misinformed and was asking a question
Okay.
about you. I
Could
think that
be.
even in the 2020s with Superman Smashes the Klan,
Hmm.
comics, it's amazing some of the issues that comics will go after, and
Hmm.
but that's one that apparently I guess maybe they're still scared to,
Maybe.
because of fear of lawsuit or whatsoever. So it's just, I don't know. I just found that odd when it was so clearly meant to be the KKK that they wouldn't just say this is the KKK.
Yeah.
It would just really
Right.
surprise me in
And
all of these issues. That
that's
was the
true. And they
case.
could have just said KKK
Hmm.
somewhere in there, and they didn't. So that would have been a
Yeah.
lot easier than trying to spell it out or come up with an
Hmm.
analog. So
Well, that's
if
why
they
they generally
wanted
just
to
say
do it, yeah,
Klan.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, right. Okay. Hey, you know what? I will follow your lead on that.
So okay. I think that's all my notes. So I don't think I have anything else to add. Do you want to grade this? You want to grade the
Well,
Marvel premiere story?
I do have one last thought. Did you
Okay.
know this is the last Marvel premiere featuring Black Panther?
Yeah, because Marvel Premiere was a series that jumped around from character to character. So, like, I don't remember who's in 50, or I guess Wonder Man started
Oh,
at
I didn't know
54.
that.
Yeah, and like issue 50 of Marvel Premiere, which you cannot get in the Marvel app, is
Yeah.
Alice Cooper. And then 49 was Falcon stories. So up
Okay.
until, so there was a few issues that had a Falcon. So I think this was where they would
Oh, I thought it was
basically.
longer run. I thought it was like a longer running deal for the
No, no,
Panther in this.
they would rotate. They would rotate
Mm,
characters they just maybe some writer said, hey, I got a Wonder Man story I want to tell. Oh, let's do it for
yeah,
Marvel Premiere.
sort of a story arc anthology type deal.
Yeah, some of the
Uh,
early Marvel premieres were like the Adam Warlock stuff. Um,
hmm
I'm
They
trying to
talk
remember.
about Caleb Hammer being I guess in the next issue after 53, which would be 54,
Yeah.
because I'm good at math. And it's an all new Western superstar called Caleb Hammer.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to. I want to say they maybe even. I don't know. I mean, I've read quite a, so like Iron Fist is Marvel Premiere 15, you
Hmm.
know. So yeah, so this series is just,
Okay.
one to however many issues of a
Yeah, no,
character.
I
Yeah.
like those kind of. I never. I mean, I like anthologies that have like multiple stories in one
Yeah. But this is
issue, but I also like those story arc ones that
hmm
have different. That those are neat.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cuz
Okay.
I think the Jungle Action stories were anthologies. So I think it was like the book was like half Black Panther, half something else.
Oh, okay.
So it's been a long time since I've read them, and I may have only read I may have read a Black Panther trade of the Jungle Action stories and not read the second half of the Jungle Action stuff, so
Yeah.
I could be incorrect there.
Well, I got a solution for that, Scott.
Yeah, what's
I
that?
think starting not next episode because that'll be our pre-orders, but the episode after we will go through an entire serialized review of Jungle Action.
No,
Or not. that was just to get you to say no.
no.
I love that.
So you succeeded. So yeah, I'm gonna take a hard pass on that. So, because I've read the Black Panther stories. They're okay. There's not great.
Yeah. No, I mean, I thought Black Panther's first appearance in what Fantastic
Fantastic Four,
52.
52.
Yeah, FF 52. Yeah, that was. I thought it was a super story. Yeah. Yeah.
52 and 53. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Black Panther's had an interesting history because he had the weird trippy Kirby stuff, when it had the Black Panther series, and then you got like the Christopher Priest run, which goes more serious, and
Yeah.
and then some runs are trying to tie the two together and have them make sense, and it's just like, yeah, it's just all over the place with Black Panther, but. And now
Yeah.
I don't know if he's alive or dead in the Marvel Universe.
I know, man. I mean, one of the best actors in that I've known in modern day, and it's a shame.
Yep. So, all right, we want to grade this one?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, what do you got grade for the Marvel Premiere story arc?
Well, I mean, it's got for it to get below a 5 or 5.5 for me. It's got to be really stinky. I don't want to say this is stinky. It's just of its time. So I'm looking at it, in a lens or through a lens that it did the job. It like you said, the writer pulled things together to of existing storylines, maybe answered some things. So hats off to Ed Hannigan for that. The art was actually pretty good. I enjoyed the art. So I'm going to give this a 6.5, which is a fine plus.
All right. Well, I'm going to be almost right there with you again. I'm going to go with a 6.0. I think anybody who's a fan of the Black Panther, who has any interest in like how comics handled social issues at the time, this would definitely be a good story to read. It's not, I have 2 issues in my collection. I got 52 and 53 primarily because of the controversy associated with the covers. I probably should go ahead and try to find issue 51 just so I could have the whole story arc. It kind of seems dumb now to not have issue 51 in the collection to go with the other 2. But it's definitely not something that I would want to like have graded or something. I just like to have them. So
Yeah. But the ones you have in your collection, did you seek them out, or did they just happen to come in when you obtained a collection? You go, you know what, I'm going to snag those.
I think they just happened. I think they were the snags that came in through a collection. That's how that's how I get a lot of my books.
And that's why I can't do what you do, because every collection I would buy would be, oh, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. Hey, aren't you making any money on this, Mike? Oh, no, because I'm keeping it all.
Hey, well, you don't forget. My goal is not to make money. My goal is to break even. So
there you go.
so I'm just
That's a
I'm
good
just trying
goal.
to break
Yeah.
even,
Sure.
so I can keep a few things as long as I can sell the rest of it for what I
Yeah.
paid for the stuff, So that lets me
Absolutely.
keep a few things. So it's a little different there, but
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've and I just have to sometimes I'll look up a book and it's like, oh, I probably should keep that book. I'm trying to remember some things that I added recently to my collection.
Have you picked up any collections lately?
Yeah. Well, I'm still going through that one fairly large collection. I'm into the Tales to Astonish and
Okay.
Tales of Suspense and that type of stuff. But
Yeah.
I did just pick up another copy of Amazing Spider-Man 300 though. So
Oh,
I got to compare it to my copy and
$10.
See. Yeah, I don't think
$10.
so. Yeah,
Oh shoot.
no.
Okay.
I got to see how it compares to my copy, but. All right, so hey, you want to since we got enough time to do a CLZ shake here?
Yeah, yeah.
We haven't done one of those in a while, I don't think.
I know,
So,
I know.
hey, okay. So while that's open, I got to tell you a sad story.
Oh,
So, one thing that I have learned about CLZ Shake is that when your collection is uploaded to the cloud, it
Yeah.
does not upload your storage boxes. So what that means is that whenever I crack my phone screen and got a new phone and loaded CLZ, and it downloaded all the books that I had in my collection. They are now no longer separated into storage boxes. So the stuff that I had,
Oh,
like my volleyball books and my Dave Stevens books and my graded
oh,
books, all manually separated. Wow.
bummer.
Yeah, so that's something to keep in mind. So if anybody knows if there's a setting in CLZ that I could hit that would allow me to back up my storage boxes, because I'm not going to take the time to recreate
To
those storage
re-enter all
boxes
that.
if every time I get a
Yeah.
new phone, I'm going to lose all my storage boxes.
No,
So,
that's yeah. I don't know. I mean, they've got a pretty responsive help
mm,
support line, whatever. But I don't know. That'd be the only thing I could recommend is reaching out to them and asking them
yeah.
themselves.
Yeah, because
I
I'm
don't
looking
put
at the
any of
sync
mine.
sections, and I don't see anything that says anything about syncing storage boxes. So
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I do is separate my collection by what I have sold, and what I have for sale.
okay. So I only put the stuff I'm keeping in
Yeah.
CLZ. So
Yeah.
all right, you want to go first? Oh, and also a lot of my books, whenever I redid this, the covers didn't pop down. So
No.
yeah, so
Ooh,
I'm sitting there looking
that
at.
stinks.
Yeah,
'Cause yeah.
so I have all
Oh
these
boy.
little, I have a bunch of just black, they're generic when there's nothing there symbols.
Oh,
So
that doesn't make sense. There, you
yeah,
wouldn't have. I would think they'd be able to do a batch upload or download to fix
most of
that.
them, most of them are fine. So, but there's
Hmm.
just there's a few. I don't know, about 20, 30, 40, I guess, that just don't have the covers. So,
Okay.
all right,
Hmm.
you going first or am I going
Yeah,
first?
I'll go.
Okay.
Okay, my favorite comic of all time, Justice League of America.
Ha!
This is issue 212 with a cover by George Perez, and I do remember this story very well. It's written by this is the Jerry Conway had a very long run writing Justice League, and he wrote this one. Perez did the cover. Paris Cullins did the interiors, and it's basically the Justice League battles a an alien uh, race that had invaded, and while they were on the Justice League satellite, and it's got a very this will tell you something why I like it so much. It's very heavy on Elongated Man, one of my actual favorite character, and it's yeah. So even though yeah, I remember the feelings of whenever I'd pick up comics in this era when I'd see the George Perez cover, open up the inside and it not be him, even though I like Collins, it was that's a memory I still have. But yeah, it was a pretty good story. It came out in 1983.
Okay. I did just discover that on if all the pictures that are missing, I can hit them and then hit update from core, and it will put the picture in.
Okay,
So
there you go.
so
Even if
just
you only have 20 or 30, it won't take you long to do that then.
well, I back up. Well, no, not the storage boxes, the issues. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
the
the
issues.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
And
all right.
you just use your cover. I mean your phone. You don't use the app on your computer.
I do not. I didn't realize. Like I
Yeah.
said, maybe I didn't know there was a computer app. If there is, I should do that, and then I can
And
have it in two spots.
yeah.
And
Yep. What do you got there?
I don't know. I haven't looked at it yet. So
It's too blurry.
oh, and my screen went dark. That's part of the reason why. Even though I should. Oh, okay. Hey, I got a good one. It's Star
Okay.
Wars, but it's not the Marvel Star Wars series. So this is in my collection, Star Wars: Heir to the Empire, issue number 1. So this was the Dark Horse adaptation of the Timothy Zahn books, um, that are basically like what they call the expanded universe for Star Wars. So this kind of is between the what year did this come out? Um, this came out in 1995. So this is like between the Return of the Jedi and the prequel movies. So when we didn't have Star Wars movies in theaters. And what is most interesting about this comic is that this is the first appearance of two still very popular Star Wars characters, Grand Admiral Thrawn and one of my personal favorites, Mara Jade, who
Hmm.
ends up in the Star Wars Expanded Universe, becoming the wife of Luke Skywalker. So this is that first issue. Introduces Thrawn, Mara Jade, Talon Card, the Isalamiri, and what's great is I actually just read these issues this year because
Oh, nice.
we were talking about
Nice.
Comicsology earlier,
Yeah.
and it had popped up as a free book. The entire what they call the Thrawn trilogy had
Yeah.
popped up on Comicsology, and I was able to sit down and read all 18 issues for free. Well, not for free, for my monthly subscription on Comicsology. And my copy that I have is a 9.6 graded copy. So,
Wow. That's cool.
you know, so all right. So, Mike, do you know what we have coming up on episode 220 of the Campus Comics Cast?
I do, but I do want to remind folks that I want to kind of brag on something. You and I made a commitment to each other
Oh,
at the beginning of the year, and I am really pleasantly surprised how well both of us have done. It was that, whatever, 500 comic challenge, for the year of 2025, and both of us are in the upper 400s already.
yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
I've got 3 to add to my list, so I'm currently at 480.
Nice. And
Yeah.
I'm at 479.
Okay.
So yeah, we are, and yeah, it's really forced me to read more of what both my new stuff and my old. So
Oh yeah. Well,
I'm
what's
glad
great
we're
for
doing
me
it.
is that I had 3 magazine-sized boxes of to read stuff,
Hmm.
and I'm actually down to 2 of those boxes of to read stuff.
Cool.
So I feel like I'm making progress on my
Yes.
backlog, which has been nice, you know.
Yeah. It's easy to get caught up in other
hmm
stuff.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
that is for sure. So.
but yeah, so next episode, which will be what 220,
hmm
will be previews and pre-orders,
hmm
and we will cover all the major catalogs and some of the minor ones too, and give you guys some ideas on what we like, and maybe you'll like it as well.
All right, all right. And Mike, if somebody wanted to reach out to you besides podcasts at bergcomics.com, how might they do that?
You can hit me up at mike@comicshoproadshow.com, or you can contact through the Facebook page, which for Campus Comics Cast. And also, I just noticed, thanks to you, we have the latest episode of the Roadshow out, which covers Monsters Lair Comics in Lubbock, Texas, and Secret Wars that I reviewed with Peter Rios.
And I'm Scott Reed. You can find me at bergcomics.com, BURG comics.com, with links to my social media, including my not manually posted daily comic book ad Instagram feed. It is scheduled posts for anybody who's following that, and I would love to have the follow. I guess I need to start making reels to try to get some influence or pick up some watchers there for that.
There you
So,
go. Yeah.
but and we'll be back soon with our October pre-orders.
Alright. You need to get your final throat clear out. Are you good? Are you, Man, I had a cold. I don't know if I had it during or before our last recording. I must have, but Lord, there was like 2 weeks. It was bad. But I should be good. And if I'm not, I will. Okay. I will mute, so you don't have to go back and edit. Mute. Okay. All right. Sounds like a plan. So. Okay. All right. So as he mutes and coughs, so. Because he mentioned it, it's psychological. like whenever I can start yawning, and you'll yawn. Right. So.